Welcome to our college briefing program. Today, we've got some fascinating stories lined up for you. First, Chinese scientists have developed an AI model that outshines Microsoft's and OpenAI's in generating jokes and humorous comments. This new AI could revolutionize how we interact with smart technologies, making them not just smarter but also funnier. Next, we're diving into the world of geoengineering. Scientists are exploring various methods to combat global warming, from reflecting sunlight back into space to capturing carbon dioxide directly from the air. While these methods offer hope, they also come with significant risks and ethical concerns. Lastly, in the world of sports, the Hamilton Tiger Cats have finally secured their first win of the season with a thrilling 27-24 victory over the Toronto Argonauts. This win helps them avoid a dreaded 0-6 start, a feat they haven't faced since 2017. Please stay tuned for detailed coverage of these stories and more. South China Morning Post. For all the things artificial intelligence can do, one area where it has consistently struggled is with cracking jokes. But a team of Chinese scientists is trying to solve the problem in collaboration with their international peers, developing a model that can crack its own jokes and comment on images it encounters in the way many internet users do. This highlights the basic problem they face: humor is entirely subjective, depends on context and cultural factors, and is notoriously hard to translate. The researchers from Sun Yat-sen University in southern China, with collaborators from Singapore Management University and Harvard University, are hoping to one day create a model that can boost creativity. In a survey of 154 internet users, the AI's jokes in English, Japanese, and Mandarin Chinese were judged funnier than comparable models such as LLVA 1.5 by Microsoft Research and GPT-4v by OpenAI. The problem with using AI to generate humor is that traditional large language models employ a logic-based chain of thought, COT, reasoning, which is effective for mathematical or scientific tasks but struggles with creativity. Researchers address this by developing a leap of thought, LOT, capability, which fosters innovation by linking disparate concepts and making intellectual jumps. The team drew inspiration from the whimsical Japanese game Oagairai, where players come up with creative and humorous responses to pictures. They created a data set named Oagairai Geo, containing over 130,000 samples in Chinese, Japanese, and English, featuring humorous responses sourced from the internet. By using a method called associable instruction tuning and the model's self-refinement, the researchers trained Alibaba's Quen model, endowing it with human-like leap of thought thinking that allowed it to respond to images and texts. For example, a picture of two brown dogs with a white one in the middle under a green blanket was captioned as Matcha Oreo, while a child and a dog apparently having a tearful argument was subtitled, "Is there another dog in your life?" The research team believes the model could go on to develop smarter, more entertaining interactive content, such as automatically generating humorous sketches or writing creative scripts. South China Morning Post. When looking at a list of requirements for a part-time job in southern China, Shanghai woman Yu Yulan found one sentence in bold: a preference for ENFP. The acronym refers to a personality type on a popular test, the MBTI, and indicates the person is extroverted, intuitive, spontaneous, and trusts their own feelings. Yu said the interviewer told her the post required massive communication with different people, and ENFP types can recharge through social interactions, as opposed to the introverted, who are exhausted after all these social activities. In recent years, the MBTI test, or the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, has become popular among young people. The test, a self-report questionnaire that claims to indicate differing personality types, produces 16 possible types that embody traits such as introvert, intuitive, or judging. Critics have dismissed it as not having any scientific basis and being, basically, in the same league as a horoscope. However, there are many who follow it as gospel, using it as a framework for building relationships or to screen people for certain roles. The popularity of the tests may have become a problem in today's China, according to a new study published in the July issue of the China Youth Study. The study called for young people to not consider the test the only way to get to know others, and for companies to avoid using it as a deciding factor when recruiting. Researchers of the study said that while the test might have some psychological basis, some young people were blindly believing it, almost like a superstition. Scientists have offered an explanation into why people feel drawn to MBTI. Even though it's labeled as scientific, it's actually no different than reading your horoscope or blood type, Chen Jingxin, a psychiatrist at the Zhejiang Litong Hospital, told Zhejiang Daily. It uses the Barnum effect, gives vague explanations. When you find that one or two descriptions suit you, you will subconsciously think all descriptions are perfect for you, even though there's usually no connection between the different descriptions. However, it is an entirely different matter for companies to use these tests to screen out possible candidates. According to China's labor laws, everyone enjoys equal rights to employment and companies cannot set obstacles to restrict candidates, unless they can prove that the tests are relevant to the requirements of the job in some way. While in college, Yu had taken a course on organizational behavior, where she had gone through 2 hours of psychological evaluations and analysis. But the tests on free websites nowadays don't offer questionnaires that are as complex and complete, so I don't trust unprofessional MBTI test results, she said. BBC. If we can't control rising global temperatures by drastically cutting carbon emissions, could something called geoengineering be a way to cool the planet? Scientists around the world, including in the UK, are researching geoengineering, ways of manipulating the climate to tackle global warming. Some experts are concerned there are too many risks associated with it, fearing it could mess with global weather patterns or actually warm some regions, not cool them. As the industry grows, so have conspiracy theories. BBC Weather has seen a large increase in social media comments around geoengineering since January, accusing us of covering up secret projects and wrongly blaming geoengineering for the cool and wet weather we've recently had. Some geoengineering ideas include reflecting sunlight back out to space to cool Earth. The most advanced area of geoengineering is direct air carbon capture with small-scale facilities in operation across Europe, the US, and Canada. These currently remove around 10,000 tons of carbon dioxide a year, meaning it would need massively scaling up to make any difference to the roughly 35 billion tons we emit globally. Some experts are worried it's tempting to see geoengineering as a quick fix that could also distract us from efforts to reduce carbon emissions. During volcanic eruptions, huge amounts of ash and aerosols can be transported into the high atmosphere, which can then reflect solar radiation back into space. The eruption of Mount Pinatubo in the Philippines in 1991 led to the average global temperature cooling by 0.5 C over the following couple of years. Researchers are studying 2 kinds of solar radiation management: marine cloud brightening and stratospheric aerosol injection. Marine cloud brightening involves spraying very fine saltwater from a boat towards low-level clouds above the ocean to enhance their brightness and reflectivity. Our atmosphere is complex, has no borders and behaves like a fluid. Brightening the cloud off the coast of Namibia could induce drought over South America and particularly Brazil. In this instance, increasing the cloud brightness would cool the sea surface in the eastern South Atlantic, which means the rainfall pattern would be negatively disrupted across the South Atlantic towards South America. After a mass coral bleaching event in 2016 in the Great Barrier Reef, scientists at Southern Cross University in Australia have been conducting cloud brightening trials to shield and cool the very coral-rich areas of the reef to prevent bleaching during marine heatwaves. The technology to perform marine cloud brightening on a small scale with fans and sprayers already exists, but the other method of solar radiation management, stratospheric aerosol injection, would need greater advances to have the desired impact. This method involves artificially adding aerosols such as sulfate into the stratosphere. How enough aerosol could be injected into the stratosphere is uncertain, but planes capable of flying at an altitude of 11 miles are one suggestion. Millions of tons of sulfur dioxide would need to be injected to have any impact. This hasn't stopped one company in the US from starting to sell cooling credits. For a fee, they will send a balloon filled with sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere, where it will burst and release the gas. As with marine cloud brightening, there are also risks with stratospheric aerosol injection. In a study earlier this year, computer modeling found that stratospheric aerosol injection could cause strong warming 15 kilometers above the tropics, which would change large-scale weather patterns, warming the polar regions and altering rainfall patterns over land. This brings us to fundamental questions about the credibility and risks involved in this kind of intervention. In 2022, hundreds of scientists signed an open letter calling for a global non-use agreement on solar radiation management. They said increasing calls for development provided cause for concern, with the dangers involved poorly understood, and something that would act as a disincentive to governments, businesses, and societies from decarbonizing. Some scientists think the risk of investigating solar radiation management further is smaller than the risk of relying solely on decarbonization. The Toronto Star reports that the Hamilton Ticots secured their first win of the season with a thrilling 27-24 victory over the Toronto Argonauts. Bo Levi Mitchell, the Ticats quarterback, expressed a mix of relief and determination, acknowledging the team's struggles but urging his teammates to celebrate the win while focusing on improvements. The game was a nail-biter, with Hamilton's defense stepping up significantly, forcing crucial turnovers that led to touchdowns by James Butler and Destin Talbot. The crowd at Tim Hortons Field witnessed a dramatic finish as Toronto's Janarion Grant returned a punt for a 96-yard touchdown late in the fourth quarter, bringing the Argos within 3 points. Despite a tense final sequence, Hamilton held on, with Mitchell throwing for 270 yards and a touchdown. Head coach Scott Mitchell praised the team's resilience and emphasized the importance of building on this victory. The win was particularly sweet for the 6 Ticats players and officials with ties to Toronto, including former Argos head coach Scott Milanovic. Yahoo US highlights the anticipation surrounding St. Xavier's football team as they aim to bounce back from a disappointing 7-5 season and reclaim their dominance in the Greater Catholic League, GCL. Under the guidance of head coach Steve Specht, who has led the team to 4 state championships since 2003, the Bombers are poised for a resurgence. Key players to watch include quarterback Chase Herbstreit, son of ESPN analyst Kirk Herbstreit, who brings experience and leadership to the offense. Linebacker Jacoby Clapper, highly praised by Specht and ranked among the top linebackers in his class, is expected to be a defensive powerhouse. Defensive lineman Gordy Sulfstead, committed to Notre Dame, and offensive tackle Tucker Caddis, committed to Kentucky, will also play crucial roles. Versatile athlete Daniel Vollmer, known for his agility and playmaking ability, will be a key offensive weapon. With a strong roster and determined leadership, St. Xavier is set to make a serious run for the GCL title in 2024. In a nostalgic look at Nebraska football, Yahoo US reflects on the program's greatest moments as the Big Ten Media Days approach. Nebraska, a powerhouse from the early 1960s through the early 2000s, boasts several iconic achievements. The 1994 national championship victory over Miami in the 1995 Orange Bowl marked a significant milestone for coach Tom Osborne, who finally secured his first national title. The 1996 Fiesta Bowl win over Florida solidified the 1995 Huskers as one of the greatest college football teams ever. However, the pinnacle of Nebraska football might be the 1971 Thanksgiving game against Oklahoma, dubbed the Game of the Century. In a thrilling 35-31 win, Nebraska cemented its status as an elite program. The subsequent 1972 Orange Bowl victory over Alabama capped an undefeated season and back-to-back national championships. This era, led by coach Bob Devaney and continued by Osborne, established Nebraska as a dominant force in college football. Australian Broadcasting Corporation, in Perth, the controversy over Coca-Cola's unmonitored groundwater extraction has sparked a broader awareness of groundwater management. Minister for Water Simone McGurk and experts like Dr. Sally Thompson from the University of Western Australia have highlighted the complexities of aquifer recharge and the significant decline in groundwater levels since the 1980s. With Perth's groundwater levels equivalent to losing 2.5 Sydney harbours, there is a pressing need for sustainable solutions. Dr. Thompson suggests recharging aquifers with treated wastewater, a resource currently wasted by being sent out to sea. This approach, although costly and complex, could help maintain urban vegetation and address future water scarcity. Additionally, changing water licensing to a percentage-based allocation could ensure more equitable water distribution, especially under fluctuating environmental conditions. The focus must shift towards efficient watering practices and long-term strategies to secure Perth's water future amid climate uncertainties. CBC, in British Columbia, thousands remain on high alert as wildfires ravage the region, particularly in Venables Valley and the southeast interior. The Shetland Creek wildfire, exacerbated by persistent heat waves and strong winds, has led to the destruction of several structures and forced widespread evacuations. Fire Information Officer Kim Wright notes that the extreme temperatures have dried out fuel sources, making firefighting efforts more challenging. The entire village of Silverton is on evacuation alert, and Mayor Tanya Gordon emphasizes the community's solidarity and the importance of conserving water. Despite evacuation orders, some residents choose to stay, posing risks to both themselves and emergency responders. The BC Wildfire Service, bolstered by international resources, continues to battle the blazes, but smoke and difficult terrain hinder aerial operations. The situation remains precarious, with officials urging residents to stay informed and prepared for sudden evacuations as the fires threaten more communities. South China Morning Post, Gen Z in Hong Kong faces a mental health crisis exacerbated by academic pressures, social media, and the lingering effects of pandemic isolation. A significant portion of this demographic, aged 12 to 27, suffers from mental health disorders, with a high incidence of suicidal thoughts among secondary school students. The stigma surrounding mental health and a lack of awareness among parents further complicate the issue. Youth advocates like Vivian and Heining Gone are stepping up to address these challenges. Gone founded Peace of Mind, a student-led mental health advocacy group that promotes open conversations and provides accessible resources. Similarly, wellness influencer Katie EU uses her social media platform to share her recovery journey and foster a supportive community. Both advocates stress the importance of peer support and destigmatizing mental health issues. Their efforts highlight the need for a collective approach to improve mental health awareness and support systems for Hong Kong's youth. Washington Post. On Saturday night at Audi Field, Steven Birnbaum, DC United's long-serving captain, concluded his illustrious 11-year career with a brief but emotional appearance in a 4-0 loss to Celtic. Birnbaum, who led the team out with his young children, participated in the coin toss and took his place on the pitch before exiting just seconds into the game due to persistent hip and knee issues. Despite the early departure, he was celebrated by teammates and fans alike, who held a banner reading, "Thanks Captain," in his honor. Over his career, Birnbaum made 275 appearances for DC United, earning a 2016 All-Star nod and 11 U.S. national team caps. The match also saw new signings and academy players taking the field, but the makeshift squad struggled against Celtic, who scored 4 goals despite valiant efforts from third-string goalkeeper Luis Zamudio. South China Morning Post. Renowned Chinese economist Wu Xiaoqiu has urged Beijing to further open up its markets to revive public confidence and sustain economic growth. Speaking at a forum in Hong Kong, Wu emphasized that China cannot rely solely on domestic consumption to absorb its excessive supply capacity and must adhere to international market standards. He pointed out that China's economic growth, driven by exports in the first half of the year, faces challenges such as trade friction with the West and a sluggish domestic market. Wu highlighted the importance of a sound legal system and criticized Chinese banks for their intrusive practices, which he believes violate privacy and undermine public trust. He also reflected on the negative impact of China's zero-COVID restrictions on the rule of law, calling for a stable legal and institutional framework to ensure long-term economic prosperity. CNN. Leon Li, a former administrative officer at one of China's tech giants, has joined a growing number of Chinese workers leaving high-pressure office jobs for more flexible blue-collar work. Li, who now cleans homes, left her stable career for a less stressful life, finding greater happiness and mental well-being in her new role. This trend reflects broader economic challenges in China, including a property crisis and declining foreign investment. Many workers are rejecting the grueling 996 work culture prevalent in tech companies, opting instead for jobs like pet grooming and delivery services, which offer better work-life balance. However, the shift to manual labor isn't without its challenges, as workers in the service industry still face pressures such as customer complaints and low pay. Despite this, Li and others like her find fulfillment in their new roles, enjoying more personal time and less mental strain. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong retiree Donica Liu, 59, embarks on a 90-minute train journey to Shenzhen from Tsuen every month to access affordable cancer treatment at the University of Hong Kong Shenzhen Hospital. Diagnosed with lung cancer that later spread to her brain, Liu found the targeted drug she needed in Hong Kong cost over 30,000 Hong Kong dollars, $3,800 monthly, a price she couldn't afford. In Shenzhen, the same medication costs about 5,000 yuan, $687, prompting her to make these monthly trips since last September. Liu is one of many Hong Kong residents seeking medical care on the mainland due to shorter waiting times and significantly lower costs. This trend has surged since the border reopened post-COVID-19, drawing not only low-income residents and the elderly but also more affluent individuals. Experts attribute this shift to Hong Kong's overwhelmed public medical system, characterized by long waiting times, and the unaffordability of private care. This migration for healthcare services has opened opportunities for cooperation between Hong Kong and mainland medical institutions and highlighted the need for Hong Kong to address its systemic healthcare challenges. The city's aging population has exacerbated the strain on its public health system, with waiting times for specialist outpatient clinics stretching from weeks to years. For instance, a stable case I patient might wait between 42 and 85 weeks for an appointment, with the longest wait recorded at 180 weeks in Kowloon West. To alleviate this, some Hong Kong organizations have started guided tours for elderly residents seeking medical care on the mainland, combining health screenings with sightseeing. The University of Hong Kong Shenzhen Hospital has become a preferred choice due to its affiliation with a top Hong Kong university and acceptance of Hong Kong's healthcare vouchers. Since the pandemic, the hospital has seen a significant increase in Hong Kong patients, prompting it to enhance services and facilities, including a shuttle bus from the Fujian border and a dedicated hotline for Hong Kong and Macau patients. Australian Broadcasting Corporation. Hannah Duffus, a substitute teacher traveling around Australia in a van with her boyfriend, faces daily reminders of her gender and the accompanying misogyny in classrooms. Despite her efforts to establish authority by writing her full name on the whiteboard, she is often only addressed as Miss and faces derogatory behavior from students. Duffus describes the emotional and physical toll of such misogyny, recalling incidents where students made inappropriate comments or projected pornography in her classroom. This behavior, she notes, undermines her authority as a teacher and reduces her to a target of sexist remarks. The teaching profession, predominantly female, has seen an alarming rise in misogynistic behavior, influenced by online figures like Andrew Tate. Former teacher and principal, Adam Voigt, acknowledges this growing issue, noting that teachers, especially substitutes, bear the brunt of such behavior. A study by Monash University highlights the widespread experience of sexual harassment and misogyny faced by female teachers, exacerbated by the influence of figures like Tate. Voigt emphasizes the need for a frank conversation about the upbringing of young men and their treatment of women. Despite the challenges, Duffus continues her journey, providing relief teaching across Australia, with her next stop being Darwin. She stresses the importance of recognizing the human impact of such abuse and calls for better support and understanding for teachers facing these challenges. The Australian Education Union did not respond to ABC's request for comment on this issue. Yahoo US. Northwestern has had a tumultuous history in college football, marked by long periods of mediocrity and occasional peaks of success. For decades, the Wildcats were among the worst teams in the Big Ten, particularly in the 1970s and 1980s. However, a beacon of hope emerged in the form of the 1949 Rose Bowl, which stands as the greatest moment in Northwestern football history. This game was rich in narrative as it featured Pappy Waldorf, a former Northwestern coach who had moved to Berkeley and transformed Cal into a formidable team. The Wildcats, under new coach Robert Voigt, faced off against Waldorf's Golden Bears and clinched a dramatic 20-14 victory. This triumph remains Northwestern's sole Rose Bowl win. Cal, under Waldorf, would continue to make Rose Bowl appearances, but their last was in 1959 under Pete Elliott, and they haven't returned since. This singular victory in the 1949 Rose Bowl encapsulates the pinnacle of Northwestern's football achievements. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
Riches flow, iron fist, cold streets, power resist, economy crush, rise and fall, traitors bleed, our call. Factories roar, stealing might, workers sweat, endless night, stubborn and surge, shadow fled, rise of empires no end. Dragons well, gun and steel, screams unheard, profits real, in boardrooms cold, fortunes made, workers' fate in the shade. deals, ultra sleep, and popsicle breeds insatiable crime. In this metal wasteland, dreams die. Contract signed, Israel's deep, backroom deals, vulture sleep, and popsicle breeds insatiable crime. In this metal wasteland, dreams die.